Welcome to T4G Sports. Today we are going to be showing you guys how to scout and find hidden gems that not even the CPU recognizes for wide receivers at physical tendency. We're going to be releasing the deep threats, the route runners, athletic guys. We're going to be doing 5 stars. We're going to be showing all of them. We just released the quarterback video. If you haven't checked that out, you want to make sure to check that out. It'll pop up top right corner of your screen, link in the description below. We also have the quarterback version up on our website as well. And this is going to be a game changer for you guys. You guys are going to absolutely love it. Now, with that being said, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, click the notification bell. Don't just play the game. Own the game. Let's light it up. So we are going to be doing every position besides kicker, punter, and fullback. We're going to do 5 stars. We're going to do 4 stars. If you want us to do 3 stars, let us know in the comments below. So we are going to have to show athletic, physical, gem wide receivers that are 4 stars in the future because they're just more rare, and we're still collecting that data currently, and it's just a pain in the old sphincter bomb. You know what I'm saying? The old black hole of death. The old... So there's going to be noobs on how they apply this data, and then there's going to be professionals. The whole goal of recruiting is to separate it from scouting. The same cost applies. The bagman's coming regardless, and each one of them will come from the same bank account. But you need to make sure that you are applying this correctly to where you are scouting a guy for the first 10 hours, and you're able to, majority of the time, not all the time, but majority of the time, you can tell this guy, he's not quite passing the eye test here, you know. And I'm going to move on because you want people to waste their hours. This is a numbers game. There's only 3 ways that you have luck, right? The first way is an insta commit. The second way is getting a commit after a scheduled visit. The third way is like hard sell and soft sell because you don't know what their interest is going to be. It's like trying to guess someone's favorite color. You have no idea. You don't know if you're going to fit into that mark. You know you have the deal breaker, which you made the deal breaker, but you don't know how much after that you're going to bank on, right? Is it going to be better than hard sell, or are you going to have to waste more hours? Those are the things that are luck, but you can't worry about those things. You have to worry about the data and worry about not wasting hours, being a very fluid machine, because I'm telling you, there's people who are still going to have this data and still waste time. There's going to be the professionals and non-professionals. Be the professional. So when looking at this guy here, the first thing I see is speed 90. If that pops up on my screen, I already know, hey, to me, this guy is not that good. He's not a gem. He's not even a hidden gem. So the reason we knew he was not going to be good is if you look at his catch in traffic, it's an 80. The average is an 82. The high is an 83. The low is an 80. Okay, so they are on the higher spectrum of that high, just on average. The spectacular catch is an 88, the high is a 90, low is an 86. The release is an 82.5 average with a high of 84, low of 81. Catching is a 79.8 average. Okay, so it's as long as you're around the 79 to 80, that's a good mark. High of an 81, low of a 78. The average is a 95 for jumping, high of a 96, low of a 93. So you can see that average and go, okay, well, even though the low is a 93, you get too many of those, it's a little bit of a red flag because you got to refer back to the average, which is a 95.1. Well, just 95. Don't screw the 0.1. You look at the short route, is an 80 average, a high of an 81, low of a 78. Acceleration, 88.5 average, 90 high, 87 low. The awareness is a 66, almost 67 average with a high of 67, a low of 66. That one's tight. That average is the awareness is massive to look at when it comes to physical receivers. Massive. Same with speed. There's certain indicators where it's like, oh, this is a tight window here. Awareness is a major indicator. If they're like a 64, you know, what do you think? Well, probably very bad because the margin of difference is extremely minimal. Looking at the strength, 73.7 average. A high of 75, low of 71. Speed is a 95 average. What's the biggest red flag you see right away with this guy here? The high is a 97, low is a 93. You could still find guys that are higher than that, than a 99 or than a 97. Just know they could be a 97 and then hit a couple of the lows, like really low. They could even be beneath some of the lows. And then you have a guy who's technically a gem, yes, but he'll be a lower overall gem. It doesn't mean he's bad. He could still have a really good development, what have you. But just those are some of the data points that you want to kind of, it's like checks and balances as much as possible. So if I'm looking at this guy and I see 90 speed, what do I know? Right out of the gate, not good. Not good. You're not going to be a gem with a 90 speed. That's just not going to happen. So the whole goal, not wasting hours. We're looking at this guy here. He's not labeled as a gem. Let's go through him. The speed, 93. He scraped. That's the low. He hit that. Strength, 71 is a low. He hit that. So he's got 2 lows already. Awareness, that's a high. So he's got a high. He's got 2 lows. Acceleration is a 90. That's a high. He's doubling up now. He's 50-50. Short route is a 78. That's a low. Jumping is a 95. We know that that's an average. The low is a 93. So good there. Catching is an 81. That's a high. Release is an 84. That's also a high. If you look at his spectacular catch, he's at an 88. That's at the average. His catch in traffic is an 82. That is also an average. So that tells you, even though that he is not labeled as a gem, we don't know what his development is. We have no idea. It could be normal, but we know that classified as the attributes alone, this guy is a gem. Okay, he qualifies for gem material. He is better than what the system is giving him credit for. So let's take a look at this guy here. 71 strength. We know that that's a low. Catching traffic is an 83. That's a high. He passes. 90 speed, backing off. Right, simple as that. Backing off. 67. Acceleration is an 87. That's a low. Spectacular catch is an 87 as well. That's right in the mix. Yeah, this guy passes the first test on that. Catching traffic is an 83. Jumping is a 96, which is a high. His catching is an 80, which is right around the average. If his speed hits a 93 or above, and his short route is a 78 or above, and his release is an 81 or above, he's sitting in a very good situation here. So 81 short route, which is pretty solid. His release is an 83, which is pretty solid. And I forgot what the other one was. His speed's a 93. So this is another guy here who is considered gem material. Okay, a solid wide receiver. I would go with definitely solid wide receiver. So Melton and Gonzalez, they're pretty freaking solid. So we got a strength of a 70. We got an acceleration of a 90. We got a catching of a 78 already. This guy doesn't pass the test for me, right? Catching of a 79. That's not too bad. Speed is a 92. This guy does not. Yeah, he's hitting like his spectacular catch is an 85. Okay, that's below the low. Okay, his speed's below the low. There you go. You start picking it up, and you could just move very quickly and not back out on accident. Do you guys hate when you do that? Because I hate when I do that. Okay, let's go to this guy here. What do we got here? Boo, boo, boo. Acceleration is a 90, that's a high. This catching in traffic is an 81. That is less than the average. Release is an 82. That's about the average, a little bit less. But jumping is a 96. We already know that's a high. Short route, 81. That's a high. Acceleration, that's a high. Awareness, that's a high. Strength, 73. That's right around close to the average. This guy is hitting some good numbers. It's obviously we've already gone over the numbers, but this is a guy you would scout fully, right? His spectacular catch is an 86. His speed is a 90. He's a bust, right? So what you can start to do is when you find a couple of those good guys, don't keep wasting time on these guys, obviously. Okay, like looking at a guy like this, 78 low release. Once you find a couple of guys who are better than this, then you don't need to really keep going into that. His catch in traffic is an 83. His jumping is a 94, which is not too bad. Catching, he's on the low spectrum of that. The acceleration, he is on the lower aspect of that. He's almost at the average there. It's an 88.5. His strength's a 70. I'm not a fan. Unless he just blows our socks off with the speed, this is a guy I would jumping off that guy. You could see this guy's doing okay. I mean, he's doing bare minimum. Spectacular catch is an 89. That's pretty solid. His jumping is a high. His short route is an 80, which is an average. His acceleration is an 80, which is close to an average. This guy is worthwhile looking at, 96 speed. So there you go. So his speed took him up to the top right there. You could start to predict gems just based upon that. 67. We know that's the average. His release is an 81. That's a low. Jumping is a 93, which is a low. This guy is already hitting quite a bit of lows. I am not a fan. I'm not saying he could be decent. Some of those other numbers could really jump up for him. This guy's an 83 right out of the gate. Spectacular catch is an 88. That's an average. Acceleration is a 90, which is it's a high for this guy. Catching is an 81, which is also a high. Speed is a 93, which is a low. Strength is a 74. This is a guy that you're starting to whiff a little bit of gem. You're whiffing it. You know, it obviously is going to depend on the other ones, but you're whiffing Gemski. So he didn't end up becoming a gem in the CPU's eyes, but this is also a guy, Rico Brown, that is a pretty solid football player. So I think now you guys are starting to get the gist. Just because I got to just finish this list here and start to see if some of these guys, they're pretty good or not. Nope. Okay, so these guys catching traffic, I'm going to see what 96. Okay, so this guy hitting the 96 speed, strength, we know that's good. His awareness is 66. That's a low, but it's not too bad because the high is only 67. The acceleration, that's a high. His catching in traffic is an 82, which is the average. Spectacular catch is an 87, which is below the average, but it's okay. It's not too bad. His catching is an 80, which is above the average or close to the average. Jumping is a 93, which is the low. I'm smelling Gemski. That's what I'm smelling. Okay, so boom, Gemski there. I didn't need to really do any more. I could just tell right out of the gate. So this guy's 93. He's like scraping the bottom. This guy's okay. So that is how you find the gems versus non-gems when it comes to physical receivers. So here's the one wide receiver that they said was a gem, which is Madison's stat. 75 overall, impact development, and he's got 15 skill caps. Not bad. That's not too bad. It's not great, but it's not too bad. So the system recognizes he's a gem. This guy's a gem, and it's not recognized the other guys are gems. And so, you know, a lot of people are going to go, oh, that guy's a gem, so this guy's better. No, that's not the case. It's not always the case, right? It definitely is not. So let's go take a look at the other guys and compare him to the guy that they said was a gem. So based on our T4G recruiting data, Jose Gonzalez was labeled a gem. Our system came back and said, this guy's a gem, regardless of what the CPU says. The CPU can say whatever they want. The system did not recognize this guy as a gem. And you got to ask yourself, if you were creating gems, would you label this guy as a gem? He's a 75 overall base with no morale boost. Okay, if we go over his ratings here, he has 13 skill caps compared to 15 skill caps of the gem. The gem had a 75 overall. The gem had an impact development with 15 skill caps. This guy who's not labeled as a gem, 75 overall, star dev, 13 skill caps. If you don't know what skill caps are, it's the box. You see the gray box with the white line. That's skill caps. Our system also recognized Rico Brown as a gem, impact development, 76 overall base. He has 17 skill caps. It's just the luck of the draw. Unfortunately, he had more skill caps. It is what it is. Not much you could do about it. Still a good player. Our T4G recruiting database also recognized Javon Melton as a gem. The CPU did not. He is a 75 overall base. Right now, he's got a morale boost, a star development, and he only has 11 skill caps. So that's the beautiful part about this database, is that you're going to have guys going after the gem and going, well, that's a gem. I'm going to go after him. He is a gem. And you're going to say, yeah, you can have that guy because the database is suggesting that this guy's a gem as well. So you're not going to have to compete for guys who are actual gems. And two of the guys our system recognized as gems are actually better than what the system at EA recognized as a gem. Okay, so that's why this data is so important and how you use it. You could get guys like this, and you're the guy who's the most happy at the end of it all. And then the system for EA is not even recognizing it. And people are not going to jump on this guy as fast as they will after watching this video. But they won't, before this video, they're going to go after the gems more than likely.